Hello guys, welcome to 5Wh+H channel. I hope everyone is fine and ready to reveal a little bit about Korean. This time 5Wh+H channel will be talking about Korean tourism spot, especially a historical one. If you guys have a plan to visit Korea, so maybe this video will help you out. The unmatched amalgamation of traditional and modern makes South Korea a must-visit in every wanderlust travel journal. There's no other place in the world with such majestic royal sites right next to urban skyscrapers. Although South Korea has developed and modernized at an enormous pace, the ancient temples and palaces are still maintained in excellent condition. Seoul boasts of new skyscrapers, but it is also home to the country's grand palaces. A trip to South Korea is not just about shopping, Instagram-worthy cafes, modern architecture, and getting swept up in the Hallyu wave. The city offers a delicate balance between modernity and the rich history of Korea with its grand palaces of Seoul. The last kingdom to rule Korea was the Joseon dynasty, which lasted from 1392 until 1910. Much of modern Korea is shaped by the legacy of the Joseon dynasty dominion in the peninsula. During 500 years of their rule, Joseon dynasty rulers constructed the 5 Seoul palaces, and all 5 are still standing. These 5 Seoul palaces are probably the best places to see and experience the history, tradition, culture, and beauty of Korea all in one place. All the 5 grand palaces are clustered around the Seoul City Hall and the general business district. But then the question comes down to which one should you choose when you travel to South Korea? Keep watching this video to find out more about all the 5 grand palaces of Seoul, and then you can make a decision. Before we continue, if you guys haven't subscribed 5Wh+H channel, don't forget to click the subscription button and the bell, so you guys won't be missed out when there is a new video. Number 1. Gyeongbokgung Palace, the most impressive and expansive of the 5 grand Seoul palaces. Gyeongbokgung Palace was the first and the main royal palace of the Joseon dynasty. Built in 1395, Gyeongbokgung Palace is additionally commonly mentioned as the Northern Palace. It's because its location is the furthest north in comparison to the neighboring palaces of Jangdeokgung and Gyeonghwaegung Palace. Korea's government has been restoring the buildings that were destroyed by the Japanese invaders since the 1990s. The glory of the beautiful Gyeonghwaeru Pavilion, Gyeongwonjong Pond, and the huge gates of Gwanghwamun are what make Gyeongbokgung Palace the most glorious and grandest of all the 5 Seoul palaces. Number 2. Jangdeokgung Palace is also known as Thongwol, the Eastern Palace. This is because the palace is located on the east side of Gyeongbokgung Palace. For about 270 years, this Seoul palace was home to the Joseon dynasty government. It was preferred residential grounds for many Joseon dynasty kings. The buildings of Jangdeokgung blend with the natural topography of the site, instead of imposing themselves upon it, making it a picturesque site. It, just like the other 5 grand palaces in Seoul, was heavily damaged during the Japanese occupation of Korea, 1910 to 1945. Currently, only about 30% of the pre-Japanese structures of the East Palace complex, Jangdeokgung alongside Jangyeonggung, survive. Number 3. Gyeonghwaegung Palace. Gyeonghwaegung is the youngest of the Seoul palaces, having been first built as a secondary palace. It was constructed in the 1600s after the Japanese invasions, which wrecked the opposite original palaces. Gyeonghwaegung Palace is now one of the smallest palace complexes in Seoul, also known as Seogwal, meaning a palace of the West. The Japanese dismantled what remained of the palace during their occupation of Korea. Instead of the Korean palace, a faculty for Japanese citizens was built in the location. The South Korean government reconstructed around 33% of the palace under the rebuilding of the 5 Grand Palaces initiative. This Seoul palace sits beautifully on the lap of the surrounding mountain land. It holds proud traditional beauty in its design and is a significant part of Korea's history. Number 4. Deoksugung Palace. At Seoul's most sedulous corner lies the Deoksugung Palace. This Seoul Palace is a must-visit historical site while touring the magnificent city of Seoul. Within the boundaries of this historical site, one will be fascinated to find the potpourri of contrasting architectural styles. It is world-famous for its beautifully carved Stonewall Road and Western-style inspired garden. It is the only palace to feature a Western-style garden, fountain, and building. The name Deoksugung translates to Palace of Virtuous Longevity. The other buildings with the enthralling mixture of two different types of architecture are the Gyeongwanhyeon Pavilion and the Seok-Jojin Hall. While the palace encompasses a vast area with many buildings. The present palace grounds are just a little shadow of the former splendor, with only a few structures remaining. Number 5. Jangyeonggung Palace. In the heart of this city lies the Grand Jangyeonggung Palace, built by the fourth ruler of the Joseon dynasty. This 15th-century Seoul Palace was also known as the Dongwall, or the East Palace, along with the Jangdeokgung Palace. At the entrance stands the mighty Honghwa Gate, past which you will find Okcheonjeo Bridge. Cross Okcheonjeo Bridge, past the Myeongjeongman Gate, surrounded by beautiful gardens, you'll find 3 courts. Myeongjeongan, being the main hall, will show you the best of Joseon architectural style. The most prominent building in Jangyeonggung Palace, Tongmyeongan, was built for the queen. A lot of the original building of this Seoul Palace was burnt in war and riots, but it is still a beautiful historical place. Those are 5 Seoul Palace that 5 Wh+H could describe. Hope you guys likes the information. For you who have planned to visit or have been to these 5 amazing grand Seoul palaces, feel free to share your comments. And while doing so, don't forget to click subscribe button so you guys will get a notification when 5 Wh+H has new video. See you guys next time.